Hi everybody and welcome. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to break down a whole beef tenderloin. People are intimidated by this because it seems complicated and difficult, but by doing this yourself, you can save yourself about 40% at the grocery store as opposed to buying individual filet mignons or an already trimmed tenderloin. I'm going to show you the quickest, easiest, simplest way to do this so you get perfect results, and you can do this right the first time you do it. You may also notice this is not my regular apron. This is a statue of David. I will leave the rest of it up to your imagination. Stick around. Alright, so let's begin. This is a whole beef tenderloin. It is a pismo, which means untrimmed, peeled silver skin, side muscle on. And this is USDA choice. This is going to save us a lot of money because we're going to get a lot of meat, a lot of steaks out of one piece of meat that we don't have to pay to be trimmed for us. So let's get started here. I'm going to trim this take it out of the cryovac bag, and I've got a bowl there. This is going to be our garbage bowl for this exercise. And then I've got it on a bunch of paper towel, and we want to get this as dry as possible. Okay, let's begin. What people do is tell you, go after this silver skin right away. Well, you know what? That's really not super effective. So, an easier way to do this. You see this hard fat right there? We've got to get rid of this. Okay, just kind of cut that off. That doesn't break down. It's called sinew. So we get that off. Cut that off there. Okay. Then we want to make sure this part, as we turn it over, we have what we're working with here. And you can see this is already kind of sectioned off because these are where the ribs live in the animal. But coincidentally, they're also 2 inches apart, which gives you perfect steaks. So how do we make this work? Well, notice I've turned it around. So this center cut is where you're going to get most of your fillets out of, and it's also called a Chateaubriand, and it's a cut of beef. Right. Now, we're going to take this side meat off right here, okay? This guy right here. This comes off pretty easily. Just kind of grab it, okay? And this is called the chain, all right? And this is kind of good for making burgers and doing a bunch of other stuff. But we're going to put this into our bowl. This is scrap. We don't want that, so that goes over there. This guy's going to go in there, so we're going to keep that. Do something with it later. Okay, now, what do we want to do? This is the tail. And this is a separate muscle here. So we want to separate these quickly. I just quickly want to show you, if you start taking the silver skin off like this, like you'll see on other shows, it gets really difficult to get that hard fat out. You see that? Okay, so here's how we're going to handle this today. We are going to slice this guy right here, okay, and get the center cut out. So right through, long strokes, just like that. All right, so now we have different sections to work with, okay? And this is going to be a puppy snack, probably. We're going to throw that in there. Okay. Now, next bit. This guy is going to come off. So here we go. That's the tail. All right. And there we go. We have a center cut section. Now, to deal with this, we're going to put this over here just for now, okay, so we don't have to have it in our way. Now what we're going to do is, since we have this removed, we're going to take our thin knife like this and get in there and get rid of all of this stuff along the side, okay? Because this will come off. This is one piece. This is also chain meat, right? Or side meat, right? So chain meat on. And this is good for sandwiches, okay? Now, a lot of times when you go to the grocery store, this will be on your filet mignon and you wonder why it gets nice and gets real tough. Well, it's because of this fat here. This stuff does not break down at all. So we'll put this guy in our basket and we'll cut him up later and use him for some other stuff. Let's get that guy in there. Now, okay, so now what we have to do is figure out whether we're going to make this into a roast or steaks. This guy is a USDA prime tenderloin. Oh, it's choice. Actually, I'm sorry. This is USDA. There we go. And now we can take off that silver skin a hell of a lot easier. See how much easier that is to grab? And it just comes right off. Now that's the trick that you'll see you don't see a lot of people show you on television, or you don't see a butcher show you as well. You get a whole tenderloin, breaking it down by sectioning it off is really the easiest thing to do, just like that. You don't want to get too much meat there. There we go. Now you see this, I haven't had to wash my hands once, and that's pretty nice. So, now we got this hard fat in here. We just want to get that out, just like that. You see how that comes off? And that was so much easier to do than following those complicated ass instructions from some other places you may have seen. Now this bottom part, this hard fat, again, this doesn't break down at all. So now some people will tell you to trim this all off. I don't, because it's delicious. All right, there we go. And there is our trimmed Chateaubriand roast. And you see that took me about 3 minutes. Now the first time you do this, all right, you can move slower, it's fine. But that was really, really easy to do, and that's nice and clean and service ready, okay? Real simple, all right? Now, we can decide whether we want to keep this whole or cut it into steaks. I'm gonna cut these into steaks, okay? So I'm gonna take my slicer, and I'm gonna go 2 inches thick. Right here, see, 1 inch, 2 inch, yep, 1. And these are gonna be 8-ounce fillets, okay, 1, all right. 1, 2, okay. Another 8-ounce fillet. And now this guy, you can see the end here, we're gonna get a small one out of here, so 1, so 1 and 2, all right, so 2 inches there. All right, so these guys are both a full 2 inches, these guys are both 1.5 inches. All right, now you'll notice these are like petite, that's a 6-ounce, this is a 6-ounce, this is 10, and this is 10. And this type of, and you see this too, this part that they tell you to wrestle with and cut off, it just comes off after you cut it. It's real easy. Okay, so these guys are now our steaks. So we're gonna put these in our bin. We got our big steaks, we got our little ones, and we got 4 nice filet mignons out of there. And these in a store would cost you anywhere between $20 and $30, right? So right here. Now, the next part. This is the end, the tail, what you'll see in a lot of sandwich recipes, or a lot of times in the grind for ground meat, for ground hamburger meat. It's not super helpful to deal with, but you can see the eye right there, the tenderloin. So all we really need to do is get that good part out. So let's take that. That's another 1.5 inches, and you can see where that sinew starts there. That is why we cut it off short like that. And we get some of this hard fat out of there, this guy. And this piece, again, just comes right off. It's a hell of a lot easier to deal with than trying to chop it up and get your knife in there and get all funny with it. Now we got the silver skin over here, but again, since we've sectioned this off, okay, the silver skin literally peels right off the outside. And you don't have to worry about too much. Just slice it up. Sectioning the tenderloin is the most important thing you can learn how to do, because it gives you more control over your beef, and it's not as intimidating. Now this is a tail meat, so with this guy, what we're gonna do is save this for maybe sandwiches or something like that. So I'm gonna take this, again, see how easily that fat comes off, right? That's the stuff we need to get off. You don't have to struggle with it. It pulls right off. And by the way, you're never gonna find a tenderloin that's under choice, okay? So this is pretty easy to do. All right, there we go. Now that piece there and this guy here, now all we have to do is cut that. Done. And done, okay? Just like that. Real easy. And this is our tail meat. Now we can chop this up and put this in a sandwich, okay? Or use it for tacos or anything else really. Nice and clean. Now you may want to get some of this hard fat out of here. It's up to you. I don't like that particularly in this section because it's kind of sinewy, but that's totally your call. All right. And there we go. Okay. So this guy's ready to go. And we can stick him in with our other finished stuff. That guy's gonna go too. All right. So this guy's done. All right, into our pot. Now this is gonna be hard to work with, okay, because it's sinewy, right? And this is the last bit you're gonna need, right there. Now, we have our other pieces. They're gonna go in here as well. And now we've got our big guy. A lot of people call this a head roast, right here, the side muscle. Now some people, okay, when they're making big filet mignon, all right, will leave this side piece on, okay, and leave this chain on. You'll get this in the grocery store. You ever wonder when you get something in the grocery store that has both of these sections on it, why it's tough and really hard to cook? It's because of this right here. And again, since we've sectioned it off, look how easy that is to remove. Really simple, okay? Don't worry about your knife skills. You can do this on your own, all right? And there we go. That hard fat is now out of there. And we can get more usable meat out of this as well, because again, we sectioned it off. So there. And now we're gonna break this guy down a little bit further. And this is where that hard silver skin, you see that? Okay, this is where that hard stuff comes in. So most of the time, this piece of meat is not usable, but again, because we sectioned it off, and I know I keep repeating that, we are able to rescue a lot more of the meat. And you notice I just did a cross cut there, and now I've only got one piece left. My knife goes right through it. And this is again the importance of having a really sharp knife when you're doing stuff like this, so you don't have to worry about dull blades or cutting yourself or pulling through difficult things. That's being stubborn. Okay. All right, now again, this bit here, okay, this hard fat has to come off too. This does not render at all, okay? It's just connective tissue. And it's like what you see in chuck roast, right? So that's got to go. And now we almost have we have reclaimed even more of this cut than ordinarily you would. When you're taught how to break these down, a lot of times you're just taught to do it with your knife, but if you see a butcher, they'll generally cut it first, okay, before doing the peeling step. And that's one thing I've noticed in a lot of cooking shows where they don't cover it. So, okay, this guy is ready to go. Another usable piece of meat. And now we get to the end here. So this part here, you can see the center cut fillet here, okay? You can see the tail here, and you can see this meat. Now, what I like to do, okay, is separate these entirely, okay? Because this can be a roast all by itself. And that guy can go in there, and this guy can go up there. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. That muscle, we're just gonna cut right along there, just like that, okay? And we're gonna go ahead and peel back. You see, because we sectioned it off, it's really easy to deal with this, okay? We can flip it over. We don't have to worry about the whole thing getting away from us. Nice cut, a shallow cut there. And there we go. Our tail piece is off. And we've got a whole nother roast. Whole nother roast. So you have a whole nother roast. Now this guy, you can cut into a steak, or you can roast it whole. What I'm gonna do is cut this guy like right here. Right like that, okay? Just like that, boom. Okay. Trim that, and there we go. Okay. Now this tail piece, you can get something out of that if you trim it. Now again, because we trimmed this first, okay, we have the ability to do this sort of like microsurgery on it, just like that. And there we go. Okay. and we get another piece of usable meat. So by doing this yourself and not wasting a ton, not having a ton of waste off of your cut, you have reclaimed about $50 worth of beef here. Actually, I'm gonna get rid of that tail piece. And it's all our usable parts. Now this guy, like I said, I like to keep him whole. I like to keep it whole just because this is some pretty good meat here, and it makes really good like braciole and bracciola and roll-ups and roulades and things like that. So we're gonna go ahead, trim that hard sinew out of there. All right, and there we go. All right, easy enough to do. And see, that took all of 25 minutes. All right. That's how you break down a beef tenderloin.